Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Upshift podcast, the podcast that is all about Formula Racing. Today we are talking the Eifel Grand Prix, or the German Grand Prix, this week at the Nürburgring. Today I'm joined by a very, very, very special guest, F1 Linevelli. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Um, it was a very interesting Grand Prix this week. It wasn't as interesting, obviously, as races like Austria this year, or like Brazil, but it was a very interesting race because there were obviously a lot of crashes, and there was a really cool battle between Lewis and Verstappen in the dying laps of the race. But before we get into that, let us talk about kind of the pre-race, kind of what happened before everything kicked off. Red Bull looked pretty well this week, and Verstappen was, I think, 1 or 2 tenths off of pole position, or 3 tenths, I believe, off Lewis Hamilton, and they looked very, very strong. And Albon didn't look as strong as Max, but he definitely looked strong. What do you think of Red Bull's performance this week?
I think they've definitely stepped it up. I think they've brought some new updates, which obviously contributed to that. And it's not that much of a power circuit, the Nürburgring, so that also helps. I think this bodes well for the rest of the season, to be honest. I think we
Yeah, they
might
definitely.
see some good battles between Mercedes and Red Bull.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be closing the gap on Mercedes. I just think that Alex needs to step up his game. I think his race pace is fine, but like I said in an earlier episode, I think his Saturday is really where he struggles the most, and he doesn't get the most out of that car. I don't know why he struggles on a one lap kind of thing, but it seems just not to be his kind of strong suit. And I just want to talk about this real quick. People keep saying that Alex Albon doesn't really deserve that seat anymore because his struggles in Red Bull. What do you think of that kind of statement?
I think he deserves a bit more time in that seat.
Hmm.
I think what he's doing right now, unfortunately, isn't good enough. But I think he does deserve, you know, at the very least, the rest of the season to prove
Yeah,
himself because he's had sort of glimmers of great races, like his podium back in Mugello. Austria springs to mind. I think he just needs to, well, first of all, work out the quali pace on the one lap, and and then get a solid race
yeah.
and do that consistently. He doesn't need to challenge Verstappen. He just needs to be up there as a second driver.
Yeah. And I also think one of the reasons he's struggling is because I think kind of the F1 community is a bit too harsh on him, and they keep telling him he's bad, and they keep like commenting that he's bad, doesn't deserve that seat. And I think the reason that he's struggling, not the main reason, definitely not the reason. I think he just doesn't have the confidence in himself, and he doesn't have the pace right now. But part of the reason is definitely because people keep criticizing him and keep telling him that he's not good enough. And this definitely affects people because this is exactly what happened to Pierre Gasly when he was in the Red Bull car. People expected too much from basically a second year driver, put too much expectation on him, and he cracked under the pressure. And people started pointing out he wasn't near the pace of Max. That made him freak out even more, and it just spiraled into something that was terrible for him and kind of ruined his confidence. And obviously he's back now, and I think his confidence is better than ever. But I think that definitely knocked him a lot, and knocked him off his balance, and just kind of messed him up for that season. Even though he kind of, it seemed like he didn't. I'm pretty sure deep down it definitely really affected him to know that they just dropped him for Alex. So definitely the people need to be way less harsh on Alex because he is a second year driver. This is his second year in Formula One. I'm pretty sure the only person who got a Red Bull seat in their second year was Max Verstappen. And definitely Alex is not near the same pace as Max. That's because Max is a once in a generation driver, just like Lewis and Michael. So I definitely think to keep comparing him to Max. Obviously, you have to compare him to your teammate, but I definitely think that we should take it less harsh on Alex, and just let him settle into that car and let him settle into that role at Red Bull, because he's the second driver, obviously, and he's older than Max by, I'm pretty sure, like 2 years. So he's more than likely, Max is actually going to probably be there longer than him. So I definitely think that people need to give him much much more patience than people are giving him now. Because like you said, he shows glimmers of amazing pace. Like you said, in Austria and Mugello, and also in the Hungaroring, starting from 12th and fighting his way through the field up to 5th. And I definitely think that he will more than likely keep that seat for next year. Moving on now to the actual race. The first lap was kind of drama, I guess, because like we saw, Mercedes kind of had a bit of an oops, I guess, to say. They nearly collided in the first corner. What did you think of the first few laps? About the action and all the battles?
Well, I first of all was quite impressed with Bottas because I've actually criticised him quite a few times for not being aggressive enough. If you look at Rosberg, he wasn't scared to send it down the inside of Lewis Hamilton. And if you want to
Yeah,
be world champion with Lewis Hamilton as your teammate, you need to be able to do that. I was very impressed that he sent it around the outside when Lewis was trying to get past. He came back and he got back past. I was very impressed. I haven't seen him do that, I don't think, ever. So, yeah, liked what I saw.
yeah. Valtteri definitely looked pretty well. Unfortunately, he had an engine issue later in the race, but I definitely think he's doing very well for himself. But Valtteri, he said himself that it doesn't seem like the title fight is on anymore, and he's pretty sure that Lewis ran away with this now, which is more than likely true. But I think if he keeps consistently being there, like 1/10 off of Hamilton, I definitely think that he can close that gap, and maybe, just maybe, a title fight this year. I don't think so. Do you think there will be a title fight this year by any chance?
Not unless Hamilton has an absolutely awful stroke of bad luck in the last few races. Uh, yeah, unless that happens, I don't know, two DNFs.
Hmm.
Bottas is realistically not in the title fight. But I hope he doesn't, lose any motivation. I hope he goes for it.
Yeah,
That'd be great to watch.
yeah, and I definitely think Max. I think he's gonna be uh challenging. I don't think he's gonna challenge for the title, but I definitely think he'll be challenging Bottas. So I think there's like an extra kind of pushing him to try to keep ahead of Verstappen, to try not to get caught up by him. But yeah, going through the first few laps, Nico Hulkenberg, actually, by the way, he returned. He's back. And he did really well. He did insanely well. Qualifying P20, which was obviously not good because that's last. But he fought his way all the way to P8. Do you think this kind of makes Hulkenberg a challenger for a seat maybe at Racing Point in a few years, or maybe somewhere else, a place like Red Bull, or maybe Alfa Romeo?
I'm not sure about Racing Point, but I think it definitely puts him in strongly in the mix for a seat next year at Haas, Alfa Romeo, possibly even Red Bull.
Hmm.
I think what he showed, to get a call 11 a.m. on Saturday, to come in, be quite nearly on the pace, even if he was 20th. He was only 4/10 off Q2, and I reckon one more lap and he would have made it into Q2.
Yeah.
To show pace like that with such little practice, yeah, it would be a crime for him not to be in Formula One next year.
Yeah, and he didn't go out in FP3, I'm pretty sure. So literally qualifying was his only practice before the race. So he did an absolutely amazing job scything through the field. He did really, really, really well. And I don't really think people are saying he should be getting a seat at Red Bull. I definitely think that he has the talent to be at Red Bull, and I definitely think that he would win at least one Grand Prix at Red Bull. But I don't think that they're going to be going with him um, due to having Alex, and I'm pretty sure that they're basically confirmed that they're going to keep him for next year. And then now they have Pierre, and I'm pretty sure Yuki Tsunoda, who's kind of in the background, and more than likely going to be getting an AlphaTauri seat next year. So they definitely have a lot of young guns in the reserve list. So I don't think that Hulkenberg will be getting that seat. I definitely think that he has a chance of getting that Haas seat, because Haas came out and said that they're not really considering Kelemalot anymore, which is a bit sad because in past episodes I said I like Kelemalot, and I do genuinely really like Kelemalot. I think he has amazing pace, but it doesn't seem like he'll be getting a Formula 1 seat next year, and he'll probably be staying in Formula 2. So he's definitely making himself a candidate for that seat. But moving on to later in the race, where Alex Albon, sticking with him, he made a move on Daniel Kvyat. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I don't speak Russian. But he made a move. He passed him, but then he didn't know he wasn't in front of him enough, and he tried to cover him off, but then slammed into his front wing. And Kvyat later said that he was very unprofessional and very disappointing. And then later in the race, when he was fighting Pierre Gasly, he said that the AlphaTauris were, quote, fighting him really hard, and people went to Twitter and were very mad about that. Do you think that was a unprofessional comment by him, or was it just something he said?
I mean, I think when you judge comments like this, you have to take into account when drivers are in the car, the helmet's on, the adrenaline is at high, they say all sorts of stuff, don't they? And I think any sports person, while they're in the match, at the peak of adrenaline, they're going to be saying all sorts of stuff that it doesn't go through the thought process that you would normally if you're just on there sitting around. In terms of what he said, it was they raced me too hard or something like that. Yeah, I mean, about that, well, what do you expect, Alex? You're in a Grand
Yeah,
Prix, you're racing for position. Yeah, the comments a bit. It's high adrenaline comments, so I don't think you should take them too seriously, but
yeah,
the comment itself, it's just, yeah, what's he thinking? I don't know.
yeah. Especially, I'm pretty sure it was when he was battling Pierre, and obviously it's
Alright,
gonna
yeah,
be,
possibly.
yeah. Especially when it's Pierre, it's obviously gonna be um a really big rivalry and kind of a vendetta against Alex with Pierre, because
Yeah, I
he
think it's
took his Red Bull
definitely
seat.
it's definitely personal between them two, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely think that Pierre wants to prove that he's faster than Alex. So obviously they're gonna be fighting him hard. So yeah, it's definitely a very weird comment, but like you said, I think that people shouldn't take it extremely seriously, and yeah, the people took it a bit too far. I feel like saying this was so unprofessional that he didn't deserve an F1 seat anymore, which was very surprising to see. Yeah, but I don't think it's I don't think it's a very professional comment. But like you said, it's in the heat of a race, and they're not really thinking exactly what they're gonna say. So yeah, I don't think people should take it too literally, I guess. But now moving on to a bit later in the Grand Prix, we saw Lando Norris, him in the podium position, because Bottas retired, and then Alex Albon later retired due to a punctured radiator, I believe. Lando could have been on for a podium, I feel like, get uh, if he didn't have that mechanical issue. But I think he drove a pretty well put together race, and I definitely think he had the pace to definitely get that podium. I'm kind of sad that he didn't, because I got this, by the way. If you're watching this on YouTube, I got this his helmet. So I was kind of rooting for him. So definitely kind of disappointed, but I definitely think he had the pace. And I think he will be on for another podium. What do you think? Will he be on for another podium, or will he kind of stay in that P6 to P4 kind of range?
I think I think there's definitely a possibility that we see at least one or two more midfield podiums in the coming races. And I think Lando Norris, he's always quick. McLaren's always quick. He'll be in the fight, but it is such a tough fight when you've got, Sergio Perez in a Racing Point, you've got Daniel Ricciardo in a Renault,
Yeah.
you got his teammate Carlos Sainz. The battle for the podium, the final podium, it's always great to watch. And yeah,
Yeah. And now kind of Lance Stroll, I guess, kind of now challenging for podiums, and I definitely think he has a good shot at podiums. Obviously, he got a podium at Monza, and so far he's actually outperforming, I'm pretty sure, Sergio Perez. He couldn't score any points this week due to his illness, and that's why Nico Hulkenberg filled in for him. But I definitely think that Stroll could challenge for a podium. Gasly is also someone that could challenge for a few podiums. Obviously, getting that win also in Monza. I definitely think, like you said, that there will be at least a few more midfield podiums in the coming races. But moving on now to a bit later in the race, Valtteri Bottas had an engine issue, and then Lando Norris. And then we saw Kimi Räikkönen hitting George Russell. That caused his DNF. And then I'm pretty sure Esteban Ocon also had a DNF. So there are obviously a lot of mechanical DNFs. Do you think that this was caused by bad weather or something else? And do you think if there's more cold weather like this, will the team struggle with getting temperature into their engines and tires?
I mean, unfortunately, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know for sure, but I think it's definitely a combination between the very cold temperatures, was it 7, 8 degrees Celsius, I believe, which you never see in a Grand Prix because it was so much hotter, and also the lack of running in any practice session. You know, FP1 and FP2 was washed out, so they had
Yeah,
absolutely no running. I reckon that contributes as well. But I
yeah,
mean, yeah, F1 teams, they love data, don't they? And when they have the lack of it, stuff like this happens.
yeah. Yeah. So I feel like I'm actually really excited for Imola now because it's obviously a 2-day weekend. So there'll there'll only be, I'm pretty sure, one practice and then straight into qualifying. Um, so now we move on a little bit to the end of the race. Daniel Ricciardo getting a podium finally for Renault, being so unbelievably close almost every time for the past few races. Definitely well deserved and good job by him. And now Cyril Abiteboul will now get a podium. A podium tattoo because of their bet earlier in the year. If Daniel Ricciardo gets a podium, Cyril gets a tattoo. So definitely well deserved. I think that this is one of a few more podiums. I think this year. I think he'll get at least one more podium this year, due to Renault's pace and Ricciardo's pace. Do you think that they could be challenging for podiums or with Ricciardo and maybe even Ocon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Renault, they're really, really quick in a straight line. So I think somewhere like Bahrain, especially Bahrain Outer, I think they could possibly be challenging Red Bull to
Yeah,
get that podium spot. I think, this is great to see Renault are on the up. Uh, Ricardo just landed himself his first podium in a couple of years, but I would
yeah,
not be surprised if he got another one this season. Who knows, maybe Cyril Abiteboul has to get another tattoo.
yeah. I would definitely enjoy to see that. I really like Ricardo, and he is a very, very good driver. And moving on to the race winner, Lewis Hamilton has just equaled Michael Schumacher's winning record of 91 wins, and it was absolutely really cool to see. I don't think that when Michael set that record, people thought that it wouldn't be broken, and it just was by Lewis Hamilton. Good job by Lewis. And then after the race, he was presented the Mercedes helmet, I believe. Yeah, Michael Schumacher's Mercedes helmet by Mick. Unfortunately, Michael couldn't be here to give it himself, but yeah, the sentiment was very, very good, and it was really cool to see that kind of relationship between Mick and Lewis. It was kind of cool to see. Um, and also, history was also made with Kimi Räikkönen having 323 race starts in his career, beating, I believe, Rubens Barrichello. So good job, Kimi Räikkönen. Do you think that those two records will ever be broken again?
Yes, I think all records will probably be broken at some point. I think, especially Lewis Hamilton's race win record, well, it's Schumacher's as well. That will take a while, to be honest. I don't see it being broken anytime soon, apart from Lewis himself. Um, who knows? Maybe Verstappen or someone might break it. Kimi's Grand Prix start record. I actually think Fernando Alonso's got a really good chance of breaking that record when he makes a return next year.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's like what? I think he's like 50 races behind Kimi or something like that. So I definitely think that, like you said, he has a chance in breaking that record. And sticking with kind of Fernando Alonso, the driver market. I want to quickly talk about that. Is looks very good. For the rest of the season, drivers will be announced probably by the end of the season. I'm pretty sure they're set like near Bahrain. I'm pretty sure that the drivers will be announced by then. Um, I just want to get your predictions for the driver market with all the teams so far. Like who do you think that will get all those seats? Who fill those seats?
All right. I'm not 100% sure on what seats are available, but I'll go with what I know so far. Mercedes have got a seat available, and
Yeah,
well, it would be quite stupid to think Lewis Hamilton would not be filling it. So
yeah,
that's my prediction for that. Haas, they've got two seats available. I think Grosjean will retire from F1 at the end of this year. I just feel like he just wants a new challenge. Pretty sure he's interested in the Peugeot Le Mans hypercar thing, so I reckon he'll go there. I think Haas will probably go Magnussen and Perez. That's my prediction. Alfa Romeo, pretty boring prediction to be honest. Mick Schumacher and Kimi Räikkönen. Unfortunately, I don't think Giovinazzi will see another year in Formula One.
yeah,
Red Bull, I think it's the last one I know. I'm going to go a bit bold for this. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen, who we all know will probably stay. But I'm
yeah,
going to say Nico Hulkenberg will replace Albon, and then Albon will go back to AlphaTauri to sort of regain that confidence that similar to what Pierre Gasly did.
yeah,
And I reckon Kvyat will probably be out of the seat, unfortunately. I don't think he's shown much pace this season. In terms of Yuki Tsunoda possibly replacing him, I think he's a bit young. I think he needs another year in the junior category before he makes the proper step up. Yeah, I think those are predictions. Have I missed any team out?
Um, I don't think so. No. Yeah, no, you haven't. But yeah, the seats that are currently filled right now are McLaren with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, Ferrari with not Sebastian Vettel, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, Racing Point with not Stroll, not Perez. I mean Stroll and Sebastian Vettel. No one is confirmed at AlphaTauri. Williams is sticking with their lineup of Latifi and George Russell. No one has been signed to Haas or Alfa Romeo. Ocon and Fernando Alonso will be at Renault. Verstappen will be at Red Bull. No one has signed the second driver yet, and Mercedes have signed Valtteri Bottas. Uh, I think Mercedes will stick with their lineup, like you said. They'll sign Lewis Hamilton. AlphaTauri, I think that it will be Pierre Gasly. It would be stupid not to keep him, and I don't really know yet, but I think it will be kind of a battle between Kvyat and Yuki. But I think that they will probably keep Kvyat due to his experience. Haas, I think that will be. This is kind of wishful thinking, but I think it will be Hulkenberg and Callum Ilott. Um, Alfa Romeo, like you said, I think it will be Raikkonen and Schumacher. And I think the last Red Bull seat will more than likely be kept by Alex. And now, moving on to, I quickly want to talk about also Formula 2. Obviously, no race this week, but it doesn't mean that it has gone away from the podcast episode. But what are your predictions for the upcoming race and the rest of the championship?
Oh, well, the next race is Bahrain, isn't it?
I believe so. If I can
Yeah, I think
pull it up.
I think Mick Schumacher is going to be very strong. He's on great trajectory and momentum. He's won the last couple of races, been on the podium quite a few times recently. He's definitely going to be one to watch. And I think Callum Ilott, he needs to step up, um, because well, he's slowly slipping back, isn't he, in the championship? So I think he needs to
Yeah,
he needs to step up, and I reckon he will. If he can stick it on pole, win the race, just have an easy, dominant weekend. Well, I say easy, but it's not going to be easy. If you can just get a win in the first race, so bring back the momentum that he had before, then he's proper in the fight. He's only 22 points behind, and there's 4 races left. Which, well, it's more than he'd like, but he's in the fight, and he just needs to bring back the momentum.
yeah.
Is there
Uh, Sorry, what?
uh, how many drivers are in championship contention? It's about 6 or 7, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the top kind of six, I believe, are kind of in championship contention. Um, but I kind of think that the top three are like fully in there. It's Mick Schumacher right now with 191. Then Callum Ilott with 169 points. Then Yuki Tsunoda with 147. Christian Lundgaard with 145. Robert Schwartzman with 140, and Nikita Mazepin with 140 points. Um, yeah, so I think the top six are kind of in that championship contention. But I think it'll come down to more than likely Mick Schumacher and Callum Ilott. I think that Yuki has a small chance, but I don't think he will fully challenge for the title. I think he'll challenge maybe next year, but I don't think he has. I don't think he has a chance this year, due to Mick's just absolutely rapid pace in that car. So I think that if he gets everything together and really fights, Callum Ilott could win this championship. If he just gets everything together on a Friday actually, and pushes and wins a race, and like you said, just dominates the race and ends up winning, I definitely think that he'll have a chance in taking the Grand Prix, and definitely the challenging for the championship. So now moving on back to Formula One, just to wrap up the episode, who do you think? What do you think the driver's order will be and the constructor's order will be.
Drivers, first of all, I think it's Lewis Hamilton, quite definitely. He's got such a big lead, 69 points, I believe. Yeah, like I said, it would take a miracle for Bottas or Verstappen to get back in there. Second place is actually quite a good fight, I think. Verstappen versus Bottas. I think, especially considering Red Bull, they're bringing updates and upgrades, making the car a lot closer to Mercedes. I think Verstappen does have a chance at second place, and if he pulls off some spectacular drives like he has this season, it's definitely possible. I think fourth is another absolutely great battle. We've got pretty much all the top midfield drivers in it. I think Daniel Ricciardo is going to take fourth. I think he's just had a podium. He's recently had some great races. He's been fourth, I think, 2-3 times. I reckon he'll take P4. I think after that, I think it's going to be one of the Racing Point drivers. I think I'm going to go with Lance Stroll. I think this season he's stepped it up hugely, especially in qualifying. He's level with Perez, if not quicker. He's up there. I reckon he will take fifth. And there, yeah, then probably one of the McLaren drivers. It's a tough one for McLaren between Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. I'm not sure who's going to take it, to be honest. I'll just say it's a tough one. I'm going to go Lando Norris. I think he's been absolutely spectacular this season. He was unlucky last race, but he's up there, and I reckon he'll take it.
I think that Alex Albon actually has a chance, and also Charles Leclerc if he keeps up his form like he did this weekend.
I actually forgot about Alex Albon. My bad.
Alex and Charles, because Charles is actually showing amazing pace in that Ferrari. Like I said before, it's a boat with a hole in it. It's just that Ferrari is not good. It hasn't been good, and I don't think it will be good this year, ever. So I don't think I don't think he'll get a win, but I think that he could challenge for another podium, due to his just sheer pace. So I definitely think they both have a chance to fight for P4 in the championship. Now to move on to kind of constructor standings. Who do you think will come out on top of that?
Well, it's definitely going to be Mercedes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Second place, quite easily, Red Bull. They're not losing that. Third it's a great battle for third between Racing Point, McLaren and Renault. I think it's also great that since Ferrari, they're not a top team now, these midfield teams can get third in the championship, get a bit more money. I think it's also a boost for them. I think third, I reckon Racing Point are going to get it. I think it's a bold prediction, but I think they're third now. They've got two great drivers. They've got a great car. If they can not make many mistakes and capitalize on any mistakes from the top drivers, they're up there for third. And I reckon Renault will take fourth. I think, yeah, they're on a way up. They've got the momentum. I think the only issue for Renault is Ocon isn't quite on Ricciardo's level yet. Which, if you look at Racing Point and McLaren, they've got two drivers at the same level on it. Whereas for Renault, unfortunately, it's like one driver who's doing absolutely great, and another driver who's doing good, but just not quite on the same level. And I think that's going to hurt Renault, to be honest. And I wouldn't be surprised if McLaren overtake them again.
Yeah. What about P5? Yeah, P5 and down.
P5. I think it's between AlphaTauri and Ferrari, the two Oh wait, oh I'm thinking about P6. My bad. P5. Yeah, I think probably McLaren, possibly Renault. Bearing in mind the driver issue I mentioned. I think it's one of them. P4 and 5. P6, I reckon. Yeah, it's a battle between the Italian teams. Uh, AlphaTauri and Ferrari. I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go AlphaTauri to overtake Ferrari to take P6 in the championship. And that would be quite a story, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Especially to
the underdog.
yeah. I think, unfortunately, Vettel isn't quite performing very well. Yeah, nowhere near Leclerc's pace. He's rarely getting to the points. I think Ferrari are going to struggle to keep the lead they have on AlphaTauri, especially if we get another crazy race and you see one of the AlphaTauris get a strong result, like Monza, like Germany last year. I think something like that might definitely bring AlphaTauri above Ferrari in the standings. And I think for the bottom three, I think it's going to stay as it is. I think it's Alfa Romeo currently in 8th. I don't think I
Okay.
don't think that's going to change. Same with Haas and Williams. They might get 1 or 2 more points, but I think the order will stay the same.
Yeah, I agree. The bottom three. But do you think Williams could possibly score points this year?
I think the issue Williams have at the moment is Haas and Alfa Romeo seem to have taken the bigger step forward. If you look at Alfa Romeo, they were what 10th and 12th this race, and
Yeah.
I know Grosjean was 9th. Not sure where Magnussen was. I don't know what updates they've brought, but they've definitely pushed ahead of Williams. When at the start of the season, you could argue they were behind, or at least at the same level. So I think getting a point or a couple of points for Williams is going to be incredibly difficult. I think they definitely need a crazy race like Austria won, like Germany 2019, and even then, it's going to be very hard because it's normally Alfa Romeo and Haas who pick up the pieces and get that final point instead of Williams.
Uh, I definitely think Williams might have the pace to score points, but I think they'll have to really, really, really fight for it due to like obviously being the top 10 kind of made up of the Renaults, McLarens, the Racing Points, maybe the AlphaTauris and Ferraris. So I definitely think that they really have to fight for it, for those points. And I definitely think that they, even if they don't score points, I definitely think that they can call this season a success, at least. Because they're in Q2, I think 5 times this year, 4 or 5 times this year with George, and once with Nicholas Latifi. So I definitely think that they could possibly have the pace to fight for the points, but we'll all see. I don't want to make any predictions because I will more than likely be wrong due to my past predictions. But yeah, I think I agree with you that with the 10, I think that McLaren might overtake Racing Point maybe, but I think that Racing Point's pace is really, really, really good, and I think that'll be a bit too much for McLaren. But I definitely think that they'll be within like 5-10 points of Racing Point. And now at the end, we're at the kind of tail end of the episode. I just want to quickly point out that there are some people saying that Nikita Mazepin will also challenge for the seat at Haas. I forgot to bring this up when we were talking about the seats. But yeah, apparently Nikita Mazepin is now in the running for a Haas seat. Do you think that he has the pace or talent to get that seat, or will he just stay in Formula 2?
I think he's shown some great talent, great pace in Formula 2 this season. He's won, I think a couple of races, and he's up there. Is it his rookie season in Formula Two? I'm not sure.
I think it's his second season because he was in ART, I
No.
believe, last year.
Yeah, I think he's showing great pace, but I don't think he deserves that Formula One seat yet.
Hmm.
I think he needs at the very least another year in Formula Two. Um, and I think there's quite lot of other drivers that I think deserve a Formula One seat more than him, and I'd be disappointed if they didn't get it,
Yeah.
and he did.
Yeah.
But I think I can sort of see if Haas hire him. I can sort of see the benefits they gain financially. They've got a quick driver and they've got a bit of buck for that. But yeah, like I said, I don't think he should be in Formula One just yet.
Hmm. I definitely think that they'll get, like you said, they would kind of benefit due to his funding. Hey guys, post interview editing upshift here. Um, Unfortunately, well, it wouldn't be an upshift video if there wasn't a good old malfunction. This week it's my microphone. When I was recording my audio, for some reason, it just cut. My microphone just disconnected. Maybe I accidentally pulled a plug because I use a USB microphone. So maybe I pulled something, maybe something snagged on something or something just disconnected. I don't know. But I'll just kind of explain what we talked about right at the end. Essentially, we talked about Nikita Mazepin's possible going to Formula One to Haas. The rumors around him, uh, like on French TV, they said that Nikita was going to sign. We both said he said it was probably implausible, and he thinks that Nikita deserves at least one more year in Formula Two. I agreed, and that was that. And I do apologize to F1 Linevelli that part just completely got cut out of the video. But yeah, malfunctions. But yeah, I'll just say it now because it just got cut again. Thank you everyone for watching. Uh, Follow me on Instagram at the Upshiftcast. Follow me on Twitter at the Upshiftcast. Follow me on Facebook at Zaki Beauchamp. Subscribe to me on YouTube at the Upshift Podcast. The T in Upshift is a 1 because of Formula 1. Follow F1 Linevelli in all the descriptions down below. His Twitter, his Instagram, his YouTube channel will be down below. Stay safe from quarantine, wear your mask, and goodbye.